When when something is hijacked, it's hijacked to be used for a purpose it was not meant to be used for. And this is what's happened to the Lord's evening meal for some, particularly with the Watchtower witnesses. The meal has been hijacked. And how can we say that? Well, we say that because as we look at what Jesus said about the reason for the meal was what? He said, keep doing this in remembrance of me. Remembrance of Jesus. And we don't even have to even think about why we're supposed to remember Jesus, because all he went through for us, we shouldn't even have a second thought about why we should remember Jesus. We know why we should remember him. He gave his life for us. But this meal that was to remember Jesus has been hijacked for another purpose. Instead of remembering Jesus by partaking, eating of the bread, which symbolizes flesh, the wine that symbolizes his blood of the new covenant. These are the things that must be done to remember Jesus. You see, you can't remember Jesus if you ain't partaking. Jesus say, remember him by just being an observer. There's no room for that. That's not. Jesus shows simply, this is how you remember me. He said, remember me this way, partaking, and we won't do that. We just sit back and observe. That's not partaking. That's not remembering Jesus. So the Watchtower, all the millions of people that are going to show up, imagine this. Most of them will do nothing that Jesus said to remember him. They won't do nothing. The one that died for them, the one whom he gave his flesh and his blood for them so they can gain eternal life, they will sit up there and do nothing to remember him. Imagine that. And why? Because it's Colossians 2:8, they have been brought into captivity to empty human philosophies. They are captive. They're sitting there in their chairs in chains, kept from remembering Jesus, kept from doing anything in regards to this meal that Jesus said to remember him. And why? Again, because they're in captive to false teachers who have told them that this meal is not about really remembering Jesus all the way. No, they've hijacked it to indicate that it indicates that we are anointed when we partake. See, they've hijacked it to announce that we are anointed. Now, where in the meal did it say anything about that? Where in Jesus' instructions did it say anything about that? That when you eat this meal, it means you're anointed. Nowhere does it say that. But Jesus warned about those in Matthew 24, verse 4 and 5, who come out and they want to be known and say, I'm the Christ. Christ means anointed. I'm the anointed. They want people to believe. In his name, they're saying, I'm anointed. And that's what they want people to know. They want to make that definite announcement, and therefore they deceive others. And this is what they've done to the Lord's evening meal. All these years, people have just sat back and did nothing to remember Jesus because the meal has been hijacked to make a declaration by ones who claim they're anointed. They've taken this meal over for something it was not intended to be. What did Jesus say? Whoever partakes again whoever eats of my flesh and drink my blood, he will gain everlasting life. So you can't gain everlasting life unless you're partaking of the flesh of Jesus, drinking his blood. You can't get it without doing that. So how is it that in this regard Jesus speaks of that you have to do it, but when it comes to meal, you would not partake of that, what the bread and wine represent, that of the blood and of the flesh. You see, the whoever applies here, it also applies in regards to meal. Now again, they want to say, well, the 144,000, or the anointed as they call them, are the only Israel of God, and that's why they only partake. Well, that's not correct. 144,000 is just first fruits, as Revelation 14 brings out. They're only the first fruits. That means that They're only the first fruits of this wheat harvest, this spiritual wheat harvest. That's just a small part of the harvest. The rest of the harvest is wheat also. And Paul showed in inspired writings that Israel is not by the flesh. We know no man by the flesh. And as Galatians 3:29 brings out, those who have faith in Jesus are children of Abraham. So, all those who have faith in Jesus are children of Abraham. Thus, they are of Israel. As Revelation 7 brings out, the 144,000 are 12,000 out of each tribe. They don't total each tribe of spiritual Israel. They are just the first fruits. And as Matthew 19:28 brings out, they will rule or judge the 12 tribes of Israel. So here you have ones who will judge, who will rule, and the subjects are the 12 tribes of Israel. So yes, Israel is not just the first fruits, the 144,000. Israel encompasses all true Christians. And the blood of the covenant of Jesus brings them into the new covenant, which was foretold in Jeremiah chapter 31. Therefore, this meal is not for some announcement of being anointed. It does not mean that you are anointed. And so therefore, their explanation and their hijacking of this meal, of course, has no basis in the Bible. And it's indeed a false teaching. And it's a teaching that keeps people from doing the very thing Jesus said, that of remembering him. And this is talking about men and women, Christians, baptized Christians. I'm going to be safe in saying that. When you partake, you're doing your part in remembering Jesus. And as you partake, you don't want to be doing so to be trying to make some kind of statement. You want to partake in a way of appreciating, doing so worthily and appreciating what Jesus did for you. So don't let the fear of man or what people think it means affect you. The scriptures are clear what it means. It's about remembering Jesus. That's it. Don't let anybody make you believe anything else.